Senator Tammy Duckworth, and after her, we'll hear from Representative Young Kim. Senator Duckworth represents the state of Illinois in the United States Senate, first elected in 2016. She previously served in the United States House of Representatives, and she represented the 8th Congressional District of Illinois for 2 terms. She has an outstanding communications team and an outstanding record in Congress. Senator Duckworth, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it was a pleasure to serve alongside you previously in the House. It's good to see you up on the dais today. Thank you for this hearing. In New York, as we've heard, an 89-year-old was slapped, and in California, a 91-year-old was pushed to the ground. In the middle of a park, a little girl was shoved off her bike, and in the middle of a city sidewalk, a little boy watched as his father was beaten up. Families have had rocks thrown at them, nurses have been spit on, heroes, frontline workers, hospital staff have been blamed for COVID-19, and they've been denied service, treated as other than, as less than, simply because they are members of the AAPI community. And now, less than 48 hours ago, 6 members of the Asian American community were murdered in Atlanta, Georgia, another unspeakable tragedy after a year of unfathomable cruelty. There's nothing we can say today that will piece back together the shattered lives of the victims' loved ones. There's nothing we can do that will give them the solace they deserve, nothing we can provide that will even begin to make sense of this senseless tragedy. But what we can say, and should say clearly, unambiguously, is that blaming the AAPI community for a public health crisis is racist and wrong. And continuing to treat our fellow Americans as others only further divides our country at a time when we should be pushing, pulling, tugging at our nation with all our might until it lives up to its founding ideals of equality and justice for all. Unfortunately, this type of prejudice is far from new. It's a similar brand of discrimination to the one that marred some of our country's darkest days and toughest fights, from segregation to immigration. As Congressman Matsui has mentioned, it's in a similar vein to what was witnessed in World War II, as our nation incarcerated Japanese Americans because of their heritage and trapped thousands of families like Congresswoman Matsui's, even as their loved ones sacrificed everything on the war front to defend our nation overseas. Fortunately, the United States government recognized that this type of bigotry was un-American. Yet, the risk of repeating past grave errors is real and chilling. That's why I introduced the Korematsu Takai Civil Liberties Protection Act, which would be a first step towards safeguarding freedom and establishing a clear statutory prohibition against un-American policies that seek to imprison or otherwise detain American citizens on the basis of who they are rather than what they have done. And as the daughter of an American Vietnam veteran and an immigrant with Chinese Thai heritage, I am deeply committed to supporting our community's fight against discrimination. I applaud the efforts of this subcommittee to raise awareness of this crisis and to discuss a plan to advance civil rights for Asian Americans and protect the well-being of all of our families. You know, the American story as we know it would not exist without the strength of the AAPI community. Quite literally, Asian Americans helped build this country. With their bare hands and bent backs, they laid the railroad tracks that connected us from coast to coast. They tilled the fields and started the businesses that also picked up the rifles necessary to develop and defend this nation that we all love. And today, even as we face so much bigotry and violence, our community is helping to keep the country running. So I just want to take a minute to thank all the incredible, heroic frontline workers who are getting our nation through this crisis. From the doctors and the nurses risking their own lives to try to save the lives of strangers, to the cashier at the market who's helping our families stay fed, from janitors sweeping up hospital rooms at night to the teachers patiently helping our kids learn their ABCs over Zoom. I hope you know that we see you and we see your sacrifices and that we are forever in your debt. We'll never be able to fully express our gratitude for all of the APIs on the front lines, but every hour of every day, I'm going to keep trying because that's the least that these folks deserve. So I want to say thank you one more time for everything that they do. And going forward, I hope that all Americans will speak up against such hatred towards their neighbors. And I look forward to continuing to work with President Biden's executive order that assists states and community organizations make this kind of discrimination a thing of the past. please know that we have so much work ahead of us, and I thank this committee for holding this hearing to shed a light on this very, very serious issue that will divide our nation and make us weaker, not stronger. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. It's nice to see you. And